Back to the Qliphoth, Super T Sigma's journeys into the Qliphoth. Let's go into stage 3, Golachab, the flaming ones, Asinisk, ruled by Asmodeus, the breaker of marital bonds. So this part of the Qliphoth, this is where you get the yell. This is where you get the urge. This is the best way you could compare this particular sphere of the Qliphoth. This is like that time when you're like just really frustrated. You had it all the way up to here and you dropped the big F-bomb, or you know what I mean? That's the one where you screaming out the profanity. You know what I mean? Like you really at the peak of your frustration where you just got to scream. They call it the volcano. And what do volcanoes do? They erupt. So this has everything to do with justified wrath, because now you're finding out that there's a whole nother side of life that you weren't aware of at first. And now you're like, look, I've been bamboozled. And the feeling of having been bamboozled and hoodwinked and deceived and misinformed and disinformed, this is going to cause you to flame. This is going to ignite you. And there's going to be there's this darkness that comes with it when you're disillusioned and you're disenchanted by a previous school of thought. When the covers are finally yanked off that philosophy and you see the man-made machinations and manipulations behind something that you was taught to trust in, you're gonna get mad. And if you don't feel any sense of anger about being socially deceived, then you can't enter Golachab. And then your process starts over at Golachab. This is not to say you have to start all the way over back at the abyss, back at the mouth of the river again. No, you're going to start back in Golachab, because what you want to do is, again, now that you've developed your voice and everything, now you got to develop your roar. Now you have to, this is where the backbone is created. And in this backbone, you're going to get this pendulum swing of pain. And it's not a pain that any outer circumstances are going to put on you for the moment. So I'm not here to speak any manifestations of ill fortune, because that's not what's required in the maneuvering of Golachab. What it is that you have Asmodeus who's over basically divorcing you from your old life. That's who Asmodeus is. Now he's teamed up with an aspect of Samael, because Samael the archangel is such a big figure that he splits. Some of these entities are so strong that they're more than themselves, like they're multiplied. So Samael splits off into Samael the Black. This is an aspect of Samael, but a whole nother being in Samael, springing from Samael. So Samael steps in to add the revolution and rebellion, and to back up, to justify, to I second the motion of Asmodeus saying, look, you need to break up with this life. You need to divorce this old life. See, those because it's going to push you somewhere. You can't be stuck in the between. You can't just leave one belief system and not have another to jump into, because in that gulf, you're going to feel lost. And then you're going to end up drowning all over again if there's no source for your energy to plug itself into that's going to connect and trigger your rational mind. So you're going to be basically a laptop that's running around on a battery, and you lost the adapter and you lost the charger. Eventually, your laptop is going to die. Your computing power is going to be restricted from you, because you're working off a laptop, because you're not plugged into the source of why you're doing this. You're operating it off of, hearsay, he said, she said. This is what can happen. So Golachab is a sphere that reinforces your convictions, and it gives you the metal, the iron backbone that you're gonna need to proceed through the remaining spheres. So Golachab, these two forces are lust and suffering. Lust and suffering. Lust, you have a desire for something, you're craving something, right? That's lust. You have a strong desire. You're being pulled in that direction. And then there's suffering, the lack of it. Now, if you're not going to be honest with yourself enough to feel the loss and feel the absence and feel the contrast between where you are and where you want to be, then Golachab is going to push you right back at the entrance gate again. And you're going to have to re-enter once you're justifiably angry enough for it to be sustained. In the sustenance of your righteous anger, your rightful anger is going to be all the momentum you need to push you through the fear that may or may not come next, and to allow you to persist even in the confusions that will come later. Because in the Qliphoth, the deeper you go, the higher you go. The deeper within you go, the further out and up and higher you go. It's a complete like fifth or sixth dimensional shape in terms of, if I were to give this a physical structure, it would be like that. It would be a living thing that's just moving in multiple directions at the same time. So in Golachab, lust and suffering, the pull, the urge, you understand, becomes so strong that lust and suffering become the same. And also with that, another manifestation of it, where they make allowances for whatever level you're on. If you're more on a lower level sticking into this, and you're more carnal than cerebral, then there is sex and death, which is also a more, I guess, a variation in terms of tonality between lust and suffering. You get sex and death, which is, it's saying the same thing. Death and suffering, and lust, and its other part. What is it? Lust and sex. So you have that going on. And what is the interplay? Well, the interplay is to push you into understanding how wrath is born. How wrath is born. So now you have the force and the fire necessary to light your way on through the rest of the dark spheres, because they get much darker from here. But before I was able to jump into that, once I was disillusioned, I had to be honest enough with myself to be angry, when really my mask just wanted to be sad, just wanted to be heartbroken, just wanted to be let down. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, woe is me. Instead of saying, F that. Y'all didn't have my best interest. How much longer were you going to lead me and my people astray into disenfranchisement? How long are we going to sit and let a new leader ride off the fat of the land, off our 10%, while they're living in houses that we can't even touch? We're supposed to be trusting them? Oh, hell no. That kind of fire. That kind of fire. Without that, you can't proceed, because force, vision, and action are going to be your new triad. That's going to be your new trinity. Force, vision, and action. And so Golachab deals with the force. Super T Sigma. Sigma programming.